turn your fan card in, you take your fan card back. You turn your fan card in, and you take your fan card back. You turn your WWE fan card in, and then you take it back. As soon as The Rock comes back, you turn your fan card in, you take your fan card back. You threaten to never watch again because Daniel Bryan didn't win the Royal Rumble. But looking at it in hindsight, it's like, didn't WWE have a point? Because now he's injured and his career may be in jeopardy. And we all wish the best for him, but come on, this will be going on 2 years that he had to forfeit the world title, so don't you feel kind of ridiculous for rioting? You turn your fan card in, and then you take your fan card back. That's how to be a wrestling fan. Listen to PodNasty on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/AKONUWA. It's Alfred Big Nasty Cuddle. Dateline! May 8th, 2015. Which means it's the anniversary of Dianetics for all you wacky Scientologists. It's Europe Day. It's Liberation Day. It's one of the 3 days of the Feast of the Lemures. It's Victory Day, and it's Victory and Peace Day. Always remember to subscribe to PodNasty on iTunes and YouTube, and listen on SoundCloud and Stitcher. Today's a bonus episode of PodNasty where I got the chance to talk to JTG, otherwise known as Jason Paul, one half of the former WWE Tag Team Crime Time, who just released a book entitled, Damn, Why Did I Write This Book? We'll get to that shortly, but first, I wanted to get into something that I didn't get the chance or care to talk about this past Thursday, but something that's really seemed to get a little bit of traction, and that's Michelle Beadle, ESPN personality, apparently quitting WWE in light of the fact that Floyd Mayweather is famous. I mean, she just found out that Triple H is cool with Floyd Mayweather. For those of you who don't know, Triple H tweeted out congratulatory praise to Floyd Mayweather after he expectedly beat Manny Pacquiao. And as a result, Michelle Beadle is denouncing her fandom to WWE. She is turning in her fan card, as she put it. Michelle Beadle has been at odds with the Mayweather camp due to her aggressive coverage of Mayweather and his history of domestic violence, which is great, which should be out there, which he needs to be held accountable for. And this reportedly led to Michelle Beadle and Rachel Nichols having their credentials pulled for the fight. Of course, Kelly Swanson, Mayweather's publicist, later came out hours before the fight and said, this is not true. Credentials were reinstated, but this caused a big stink that Floyd Mayweather reportedly did not want select female journalists covering his fight. This created a storyline within the storyline, and the concept of Floyd Mayweather versus female journalists was just as juicy as Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. As a result, lines have been drawn in the sand, and Michelle Beadle does not F with WWE anymore. Which blows my mind because it's like, did you just find out the fact that Triple H and Floyd Mayweather and WWE have this great relationship? Floyd Mayweather main evented WrestleMania 24, or at least was one of the biggest matches on that card. Triple H, dating back years, has walked Floyd Mayweather to the ring for his fights. This has been a relationship in existence, but now you're deciding to tell the world that you're no longer to watch WWE? People are acting like Michelle Beadle is beyond reproach, like there's no way you could criticize her for this. Of course you can. In fact, I think this is kind of pathetic. What are you looking to accomplish? I mean, Floyd Mayweather's domestic history, his history of domestic violence has been out there, and it's something that nobody should stand for. But this is America we're talking about. This is a world where entertainment, if you are in entertainment and you're talented and you play up the role of the bad guy, you're pretty much bulletproof. I mean, did Chris Brown go away after the whole Rihanna thing? No. He probably should have, but this country of ours still buys Chris Brown records because he's the bad boy of hip-hop. Look at the tattoos. I mean, he had a single called These Hoes Ain't Loyal. It was a top 10 hit. Chris Brown plays a villain. He can get away with more. It's inconvenient, it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's not right, but it's reality. Mayweather's history of domestic violence dates back to 2002. The price to see him fight has doubled since then. It's been out there. I mean, what are we looking to do when all this is coming out? I love how after the fight, all of this is coming out. And of course, leading up to the fight, people brought this out. But I just don't understand what they're trying to do. Are you trying to make him go away like Bill Cosby? Because that's the last thing that's going to happen. Floyd Mayweather is in a bulletproof position. The reality of it is he plays a boxing villain. Therefore, all these stories, all these paid protesters who are talking about how evil of a person Floyd Mayweather is for his unfortunate history of domestic violence, which nobody should stand for, which is an egregious crime. Guess what? It increases the brand of Floyd Mayweather, the villain. It makes people want to pay to see him lose. And for Michelle Beadle to go out of her way to scream at the top of her lungs that Floyd Mayweather is a horrible person and that she's not watching wrestling anymore because of it, Michelle Beadle, watch that fight. You watch that fight. Say what you want to say about Floyd Mayweather. You just gave him $200 million. He's not going anywhere. So what are we trying to accomplish? I don't feel like I support domestic violence by paying for a Floyd Mayweather fight. If that's the case, this fight just broke records. A lot of people have some explaining to do. Biggest boxing fight in history. So is that a nation of people who support domestic violence? I mean, this is paid protest. I read so many articles of people saying, you shouldn't watch this fight. Floyd Mayweather is a domestic abuser and should not be supported. Those same people have reviews of what happened in the fight. Oh, so you want to watch that fight. You just don't want me to watch it. Oh, you'll watch it for me, but you want me to protest. Get out of here. People are going to watch Floyd Mayweather fight. Okay? And it's not necessarily reflective of what they think about what he's done in terms of domestic violence. Can we not compartmentalize? Floyd Mayweather plays a boxing heel. In real life situations like this, unfortunately, he's able to cultivate to his own brand so that he can play a bigger villain. It works. Michelle Beadle getting mad at Floyd Mayweather and going on Twitter and ranting, that works into Floyd Mayweather's advantage, whether you want to admit it or not. He plays a boxing villain. He's an entertainer. The worst thing for Floyd Mayweather would be apathy, if you didn't care. If you really want Floyd Mayweather to go away, don't buy his fights, don't tweet about him, don't talk to his followers. But you and I both know that's not going to happen. Michelle Beadle, by going on Twitter and saying how much she doesn't like Floyd Mayweather and how she's going to distance herself from anybody who likes Floyd Mayweather, helps Floyd Mayweather. In fact, I like what Rachel Nichols did. She just went on Twitter and said, no fight for me, and she really didn't say much after that. And it's because sometimes silence can be golden. Sometimes that represents apathy. And by her not really saying anything, it created this huge story, and more pressure was on Floyd Mayweather's camp for reportedly not allowing credential access for female reporters. That created a bigger story. Instead of Rachel Nichols doing what Michelle Beadle did and going on Twitter, feuding with anybody who disagreed with her, saying, I'm against Floyd Mayweather. He did not let me into this fight. I'm not watching WWE. Screw you, screw you, screw you. I can't believe you're defending him. Your grammar sucks. Your grammar sucks. And going on this complete tirade that created all these subplots that at the end of the day fed into the Floyd Mayweather brand. On this day, whether you want to admit it or not, people hate Floyd Mayweather more than they did going into the Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight. And hate is the same thing as love in entertainment because hate sells tickets. Hate sells tickets. And from a complete athletic standpoint, from a boxing standpoint, okay? Not Floyd Mayweather the man, but I like seeing a boxer get one over on the people. All these people are complaining about how boring the Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight was. As if they haven't seen Floyd Mayweather fight before. Maybe they haven't. But Floyd Mayweather is now getting one over on the people. For decades, people chewed up these boxers and spit them out of the 80s. All these great fights, Hearns, Hagler. You saw Muhammad Ali and Frazier. You see all these fighters now today are punch drunk. And they gave up their brain cells for the American public, for people to digest, for the entire world to see these great fights and watch them for 15 rounds pound the crap out of each other. We got that momentary satisfaction and then went about our business. Oh well, punch drunk fighter, shouldn't have hit each other in the head so much. Well, Floyd Mayweather turned that on its ear. He creates this huge boxing villain, this entertainer, that he's so entertaining and he's so good at enraging people that they want to pay their money to see him get beat when in reality he fights a style where it's nearly impossible to hit him. He's so good at enraging people that you forget the fact that he fights a style where he doesn't get hit. A very plain, boring style, as a lot of people put it. I find it artistic. But Floyd Mayweather has turned the tables. Instead of people exploiting boxers, he's exploited the people. He's exploited the system. Now he's not getting his brains beaten in for your satisfaction. He's taking your money and dodging the punches and coming out of it better than he did. In terms of a boxer, it's good to see a boxer get one over and protect himself. I don't think people should feel uncomfortable about watching Floyd Mayweather fights. We're all hypocrites. Where does this end? Should Michelle Beadle give up the NFL too? I don't think she's doing that working for ESPN. What about all the domestic abusers and cheaters who work for that? NFL is at an all-time low in terms of PR. You support the NFL? Are you supporting Greg Hardy? Are you supporting Adrian Peterson? Ray Rice? Oh, but Rudy played football. How bad can it be? The slippery slope. It's entertainment. And in entertainment, scandal leads to spectacle. Inconvenient truth. This is the American society. There's a lot of hours in the day. People get bored. They need something to fulfill it. And entertainment is what they will consume. Floyd Mayweather, noted domestic abuser, made $200 million last weekend. Apparently, you're not ready to break up with him either. And let's just be honest about wrestling fans. Would Michelle Beadle really be a wrestling fan if she didn't at least threaten to quit wrestling once? Isn't that what wrestling fanatics do? I guess when Lance Storm, there was that night on Raw where the Ascension cut that promo about the Legion of Doom and they're the greatest tag team ever, and Lance Storm got offended and quit watching Raw, only to be back the next week. Bryan Alvarez went on a long rant, wrote a letter, a Dear John letter about how he was quitting TNA, only to be back later. Everybody quits wrestling at some point. How's this Michelle Beadle stuff news? Remember #cancel WWE Network? And like the next day it was revealed that 1 million subscribers watch WWE Network. It's now up to 1.3 million subscribers. Quitting wrestling is part of being a wrestling fan. It makes them feel good. You get to go out, make yourself feel important, that WWE no longer has your money. You're going to quit wrestling. You can make a couple of waves, but you'll be back. Everybody comes back to wrestling. From retirees, Ric Flair, Bruno Sammartino, to fans. People who say they're going to quit only to come creeping back. They'll be back. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to damage the relationship between ESPN and WWE. Stop it. Please. I know Michelle Beadle's a big voice over there, but this relationship is happening. It's already happened. They're knee deep. They just had a documentary on WWE. I'm talking unprecedented access. E60 behind the scenes, behind the curtain. SportsCenter aired highlights of WrestleMania 31, for God's sakes. This relationship is happening. Robert Flores is still employed by ESPN. If Michelle Beadle doesn't want to cover wrestling, more for Robert Flores. The marriage is real. Too late to go back now. We go from ESPN to JTG, one acronym to another. I had the chance to sit and talk with Jason Paul, a.k.a. JTG of WWE's Crime Time, who wrote a very entertaining book. We got into discussion about his book, about his time in WWE, what he thinks about NXT, Bill DeMott. A lot of great stuff in this interview. I highly recommend his book. It seems like he's done with wrestling. He's going to be in a movie called Bad Night, which will premiere later on this year in July. Again, I highly recommend his book. But before you read it, listen to the interview. Here's me with JTG. I am here with former WWE superstar turned author known as Jason Paul, formerly known as JTG of Crime Time, and he penned the hilarious Damn, Why Did I Write This Book, which is available at payhip.com, and we can get into other ways that you can purchase a book. Very, very funny read, very entertaining read. JTG, Jason, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, that's a good title. I never thought about that. I'm an author now. Thanks.
You are an author, in addition to all the things you're doing, because you've got a lot going on now. You're also auditioning, I heard. What kind of stuff that you got going on?
I auditioned for commercials, auditioned for some movie role parts, but there's been a lot of rejection, but that comes along with the territory with Hollywood.
Of course.
You keep, out of 100 auditions, you'll probably get one. That's not even one callback.
No, it's great. You just got to keep your nose to the grindstone, man. As long as you keep trying. It's just like anything,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, this is really a good book. I sat and read through the whole thing. Wasn't expecting to do it in one sitting, but I really couldn't take my eyes off of it. I wanted to get into a couple of things you talked about. Early in the book, you talk about your experiences with OVW, of course. Also, you talk about Deep South Wrestling, which was another developmental. Now WWE has NXT, which seems to be an evolution. And not only is this a developmental territory, guys are going out and drawing money on the road. So get into your thoughts of the current NXT product and what you think of it, and if it was around while you were around, how you think you would fare.
To be honest, I really don't follow NXT. I see what's going on with NXT with social media. That's all the information that I know about it is through social media. I follow guys like Alex Riley on social media, and I see what he's doing down there at NXT. When Alex Riley was active on the roster on Raw, I was a big Alex Riley fan, and I thought he was going to be a big star. And he probably still can be a big star, but I thought the rug was pulled from underneath him. With NXT, I was a big fan of how OVW trained its talent. They taught them the old school way. They taught them how to tell a story in the ring, and that's pretty much what wrestlers are. We are storytellers. We go in there. The ring is our canvas, and we are artists, and we get fans emotionally involved into the match. If you're a good artist, that is.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that about Alex Riley, because I remember when he first debuted, there was this new crop of talent on the previous incarnation of NXT, and I had to give the scouting report. He was the only one I gave 5 stars just by looking at him, and it wasn't even just his look. He was a great athlete, and I really do think that WWE might be underutilizing him.
Oh, definitely. And not only has a great look, he's also great on the mic.
Yes.
That guy could rock a mic, and if given the opportunity on Raw, I think in one night, if you give Alex Riley the mic, he'll get the WWE Universe right back under his belt, rooting for him.
Absolutely. Now, Bill DeMott is a big part of NXT, and you talk a lot in your book about the old school mentality of protocol and whatnot, but Bill DeMott's old school mentality seems to be what did him in. So do you think his resignation is an example of a paradigm shift in WWE, that maybe they're going to be privy to doing things another way? And you can also talk about your dealings with Bill DeMott personally.
Me and DeMott always had a good relationship. I don't have anything bad to say about Bill DeMott. I found out about what happened with Bill DeMott on social media, and I didn't really look too much into it. Everybody has their own experiences with Bill DeMott, but he always encouraged me and motivated me. When I came out with the new look, he told me, "Man, you finally got out of those jeans, man." He was pushing for me. What was the other question? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to know, because you talked so much about the old school mentality, do you think that that's going to be a change moving forward, given how sensitive the nature is?
Well, the difference between that was Bill DeMott's way.
Sure.
The old school, the old school mentality. Hopefully, it does change, because the old school mentality, I don't think it was safe for talent. Like the old school way, for example, I'll give you one example, is talent when they're injured is to work through it, which I think is very stupid and ignorant. But if you said something, if you complained about your being hurt, you'll get heat. That 4-letter word that you try to avoid your whole career.
Yes, sir. And you talk a lot about heat. One of my favorite lines of the book is that you'd rather get the Ebola virus than get heat, which that was pretty funny. This book could have been called Heat. So talk about that a little bit. I always wondered, because there is so much protocol and so many rules you have to follow, but at the same time, it's well documented. Vince McMahon only respects those who stand up for themselves. So there were a couple examples of you standing up for yourself. How hard is it to balance that line between following protocol, avoiding getting heat, and then at the same time knowing when to stand up for yourself?
It's a very, very fine line, and some guys just choose the route of just backing down. Because sometimes, you're put in a predicament where you have to choose your manhood or choose your career. I've seen several superstars, they get disrespected by a guy high in the totem pole, and they pretty much had to choose their battle, and, just take it. And if you're in the locker room, if you're one of the boys, that guy's not a punk. He just chose to not go that route.
Right. And some of your heat led to Wrestler's Court, which I have heard stories about it, but you went in depth about a Wrestler Court that was supposed to take place, and I was just kind of taken about it how serious it was. It always seemed like there was a sense of irreverence to it, but I got the feeling from your book that guys took the role seriously. JBL, whether it be him in his role, The Undertaker in his role. How serious was it to be in Wrestler's Court, or was there a sense of just kind of a reverence and comedy to it?
There was definitely some comedy to it. It's entertainment for the locker room. You know, when you're when you're backstage for like 12 hours, the boys, they'll find anything to get some type of entertainment, stories, or would it be wrestler's court? You know, it was a joke and comedy to them, but to be on the stand, you know, it was pretty serious for me. Because the punishment would have been very serious too. That'd have been no laughing matter.
What's the worst punishment you've seen from a wrestler's court, and what's the worst offense?
One of the while I was there, one of the offenses was I know one individual, one WWE superstar who's no longer there anymore. One of his sentences was that he couldn't dress in the male locker room for about a month or two. Mm-hmm. And then I've heard stories where talent had to carry other talent's bag for a few months also.
And what caused this? What made them get so much heat?
Well, I'll give you another example. One individual, we all went out one night, and one superstar went out with another superstar, and that other superstar left early. And the other guy who he came in with got drunk, and some other guys brought him home, and it got back to the top dogs that, you know, when you go with somebody, you leave with them. And he left his man. He left his post, kind of say, so he got heat for that.
To leave no man behind. I understand that.
Yeah, exactly.
Your wrestler's court story, it actually goes from being pretty entertaining to pretty poignant in that there was a horrible situation that maybe postponed it. I'll allow the readers to read about that, but it was really, really kind of jarring to see where you were when that happened. Another way you got heat was through Shad Gaspar, and I just thought these were great stories that you had with you and Shad. I just wanted to get into, have you talked to Shad since you wrote this book? Because you do kind of get into how he stuck his foot in his mouth and whatnot, but in a really funny way. You still cool, Shad?
Oh yeah, me and Shad are real cool. You know, prior to me releasing the book, I spoke to Shad, and I told him, look, man, I'm writing a book, and you're going to be the star of the damn, you're going to be the star.
Absolutely.
And he was like, cool, man, put all the good juicy details in there. And I'm like, all right.
To be honest, I think this could have been the next evolution of Crime Time, from sort of that hip-hop group to maybe like a buddy tag team that one guy is always getting the other one in trouble. You go into the fact that you got heat and had to get in a squash match with Great Khali, but that could have been like the Boss Lady story with Stephanie McMahon. That could have been a backstage segment that resulted in a match between you guys and the Great Khali. Do you not think that?
I think every story in that book could be a great storyline backstage with WWE.
Yeah, and when you guys did split, it did seem like WWE was leaning towards Shad Gaspar to be the single star. Do you think it was a look? Because he did stick his foot in his mouth and whatnot, and did seem to have heat. But why do you think they kind of leaned toward him to be more of a breakout star?
I didn't even know that. That's news to me. I can't put my finger on it. You know, a lot of stuff could have happened. I wasn't really worried too much about what Shad about Shad's career. I was worried about mine at the time after the split. You know, that was still the homie, but still I had to worry about my family at home to take care of.
Were you excited about the potential of being a single star? Was there a part of you that was sad that you were splitting from Shad Gaspar?
Yeah, there was a little bit sadness because I had a lot of fun with Shad with the backstage segments and the whole Crime Time gimmick. But we both kind of wanted it, you know, to see what we can do on our own.
Right, and I'm glad you brought up the Muppet gimmick, which was one of the ideas that was brought up when you became a single star. And I'll tell you a story. I was going to bring this up regardless of if it was in the book, because I had the pleasure of going to a red carpet with WWE at SummerSlam a couple of years ago, and you did attend because it was out here in LA, where I'm based. And one of my colleagues sought me out during that event and said to me, bruh, you will not believe what JTG just pitched to us. He just talked about a potential gimmick where he's got a Muppet. And at the same time, my colleague says it's ridiculous. And I said, that's brilliant. And I think it could have been brilliant because that gets over in a mid-card aspect. You're printing money selling those Muppets to kids.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I thought I was a rich man. I'll tell you how rich I thought I was. When Vince approved the gimmick, when he told me that he loved it, I took my wife out to Mr. Child's when I got home. Because I just saw money.
Was this your idea, the gimmick?
Yeah, it was my idea. Yeah, the idea stemmed from this character that I used to do in promo class. WWE superstars before Raw, some superstars were called in early to the show, like maybe an hour early, and we will have hands-on hands-to-hand class with Vince McMahon, and we did promo class where it was kind of like improv, working on our improv and working on promos. And he'll give us an exercise where he'll say anything, and you have to cut a promo on it. So let's say he said pen, you had to cut a promo on pen and make sure that was entertaining. So I can't remember what word he gave me, but there's a few times I put it in the book where I would start talking to myself, and it was highly entertaining. And I created a new character with a double personality. And his name was Self. So the name of the puppet will be Self.
And that's something you do in the book. You say to yourself a lot, Self.
Uh-huh.
How far did this get? Was there concept art to this?
The idea was for the Muppet to look exactly like me.
Right. Okay. And it was going to have a catchphrase, or was your mind going crazy creatively as to what this thing could do?
Oh yeah. Well, the premise behind the whole Self Muppet idea was for it to be seen and heard by the WWE universe, but not seen by anybody backstage. So, for example, if me and you were talking backstage, Self will be insulting you, but you couldn't hear him. only me and the WWE universe. He was kind of like my conscious.
I really do still think this, as far as WWE's product, TVPG, and the fact that they're catering to families now, I think that would be perfect for this era. How mad would you be if you saw a superstar, pop up with a puppet on his hand in today's WWE?
At first, it wouldn't have been on his hand. It would have been a totally different character. I was going to hopefully bring in a comedian to do the voice and do the personality. Yeah, but if I saw it today, I'd be like, wow, at least I know it was a good idea. I know I'm not doing it because I don't have no desire as of right now to go back full time with the WWE.
Now, when you were there full time with WWE, which was a dream of yours, there's a saying, never meet your idols. And you tell a couple of stories about guys who you had admired before going to WWE that maybe weren't as pleasant in person. What are your thoughts on some of these individuals? Do you still have respect for them? Did you change the way that you think about them?
I definitely changed the way that I thought about them, but I still did have a lot of respect for them, for what they did for the business. They paved the way for us, but still, on a personal level, it was like, damn, why did I meet my idol?
Now, in today's WWE, there's also the New Day. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because you do talk about having a relationship with Kofi. It did seem at first they were going to do this militant black angle, but that was quickly dropped. What are your thoughts on really the evolution of the New Day?
I have no idea what the New Day is.
You certainly heard about
I saw the gimmick. I know. I saw the gimmick, and I saw the vignettes leading up to it, but I still can't put my finger on what exactly are they doing. They just seem to be happy-go-lucky dudes that happen to be coincidentally black.
Yeah, what are your feelings about that? Because, I did get a chance to talk to Xavier Woods about it, and he did say that they are friends out in real life, but do you think that's a thing that WWE tends to put guys together because of their skin color?
Oh, of course. Because, that's not a coincidence.
No, not at all. And the thing with the New Day is at first they debut as this happy-go-lucky gimmick, like you said, and the crowd didn't know what to do. They eventually turned on it. But now, you would not believe they're probably the most over heels in the business because they're just happy-go-lucky guys, and fans don't like that, and they just kind of play it up. And that was not the plan to begin with.
It's best to just go with the WWE universe. You can't. Sometimes you just can't script something. You just got to go with the flow.
In terms of wrestling, moving forward, is that something that you intend to pursue, going to another promotion, or do you want to go to acting full time?
I got a few projects that I'm working on that I can't get in too much detail about, but I do have a film that's coming out in July called Bad Night. I'm an author now, so I guess I'll be doing some more stories, doing some more books.
Why did I write this book too?
Exactly.
No, that would be incredible. I would really look forward to it. You give a lot of advice in this book to young superstars. Of all the advice you give, what do you think is the most important thing that the WWE superstars in the future need to learn from this?
For all the inspiring WWE superstars, read this book and study it, especially the commandments at the end. And also, don't think you're not going to get heat. after reading this book, some individuals might say, "Well, try to avoid heat." It's like you can't avoid heat. If you try to avoid heat, you're gonna get heat. But for trying to avoid it.
Well, JTG, it's been an honor to talk to you about this book. Tell me about more of where they can get this book. I know it's on payhip.com, but I know it's coming out on Amazon soon.
Yeah, Amazon. I'll give you a funny story about Amazon right now. I was going to add an additional chapter to the Amazon version. I finished writing it and I sent it to my editor, and my editor told me, "This is too good. We can't give this for free. We have to add this. We have to save this for part 2." I'm like, damn. I stayed up all night writing this. Now I gotta save it.
Can we get a little bit of a preview as to what it's going to be about?
Oh no, I can't get. It has a lot to do with drinking.
Oh man, now I have to read this. It was an honor. Thank you so much, Jason Paul, JTG. Go get his book. It's really, really entertaining. It's a great read. You can read it online on Kindle or on PDF. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, JTG. He's no Iron Sheik, but engaging nonetheless. Remember to subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. Listen on SoundCloud and Stitcher. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. For now, I have to go turn in my WWE fan card. You turn your fan card in, you take your fan card back, you turn your fan card in, and you take your fan card back.